Hi, I'm Suffolk County Legislator Jay Schneiderman, and welcome to South Fork Focus, where we take a close look at issues and events, people, and places that are affecting our region. Today, we're going to focus on children. And joining me in the studio, I have Michelle Cannon, who is the Executive Director of the Bridgehampton Child Care and Recreation Center.
Yes.
Carol Burnett, who is the with Long Island Head Start. She is the Community Outreach and Recruitment Coordinator.
Yes.
And Steve Long, who is the Executive Director of the Children's Museum of the East End. Well, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Kids, let's talk about our kids and how to
Yes.
best serve our kids, some of the things that are impacting children in our community. And maybe we'll start with you, Michelle. So you are with the Bridgehampton Child Care and Community. Tell me the name once again.
Right. It's the Bridgehampton Child Care and Recreational Center, and we call it the Center.
Okay.
So that's where it's been there for many, many years. And I've been the executive director there for about 5 or 6 years now. And we just continue to do great things at the center for our children.
Tell me
there.
some of those great things you guys do.
Well, we have a Head Start program there.
Yes, we do.
Great.
And we also do after school programs there. We have a summer program. We also do programs with our parentings. We do a pantry for parents in need and things of that sort. We do one-on-one counseling. We do a lot of good stuff there that just basically focuses on giving our children a better life.
Yeah, how many children are you serving now?
I would say that we serve probably about between 100 to 200 children throughout the year.
Great.
Yeah,
Great.
throughout
And
the
I
year.
know, I'm with the county, as you know, and I know we try to help you out. We have a little grant that we give you.
Oh, no, it's not a
Not so
little
little.
bit. Not
Not
so
so
little.
little.
No, we appreciate everything that the county and the town, they do, and they've been great to us. The county and the town, we just recently, through a grant that the county gave us, put a new roof on one of our buildings, on the Head Start building there,
That's
and
great.
we're going to be putting in a new hardwood floor that's needed there for the kids. So the county and the town have been great to us,
Yeah.
and I thank you.
Well, I had actually an interesting experience. I visited, as you
Yes,
know,
yes,
and
you
I
did.
got to talk with the kids. Actually, they were older, young adults, I should say.
Yes, to the teens.
And I got to ask them what was on their minds, and it was really interesting. I wanted to know what they thought about people like me, people who are in public office. They had, I think, I think it took some time to warm to
Yes.
that. I don't think sometimes they think that they can change the world. I've always been motivated by the belief that I can impact my community, that I could make it a better place. And I think some of those kids were really struggling to believe that they could make a difference too.
Yeah, a lot of them, and what we try to do, we have the evening series that are open to the community. And the one that you were with is the one that we call The Politics of It All. And basically, it's a way to educate and make the community aware of what is politics, What do you as a legislator, what do you
to
do?
empower those
and
kids.
to empower them and to let
do
them
good.
know.
So
Yes.
sometimes I think they just don't know what they can do that's positive,
Right.
and then they end up in doing negative things.
Yeah.
And that we don't want. So,
Right.
Yeah. So how do you encourage those kids to? Do you give them activities where they can make a positive difference?
Well, we're there to, to talk with them, to counsel them. We always want to open them up to different experiences and show them that there's more to life than just what's in Bridgehampton.
Right. And
you know.
positive role models.
Positive
right?
role
So you bring
models.
people from the community in.
Yes, we have a
Right.
series called Real Talk, Real People, Straight Talk, Real People, where we've had anyone from like Susan Taylor from Essence Magazine
Wow.
down to, Ansi Verdier, who is a great orthodontist, dentist, local dentist that's here. We've had just different people that have come in just to sit and to talk about the
Right.
experiences. And we've had you there.
Yeah.
And, so basically, if we can implant and just show, positive messages to them, you'd be very surprised. I know, even with my son, you'd think that your children don't listen or they don't hear you when you're telling them things, but they really do. They really do. So a lot of the things
Right.
that children hear, it may not look like on the outside that they're taking it in, but they really are. They
Right.
really are. And that's what we try to do. And if we can just touch one, it's more
Exactly.
about the quality than the quantity. If we can make a difference in one person's life, then we've done more than our
That's
job
great,
there.
Michelle. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Carol, let's talk a little bit about Head Start, because that's really where they get started, whereas we were just talking about the young adults and some of the challenges that they face, but they face even greater challenges if they don't get the right beginnings. So, and you're with Long Island Head Start. So
Right.
tell us a little bit about what Head Start does and your role there, and why it's a program we should all support.
Okay, well, Long Island Head Start actually has 22 centers in Suffolk County. We go from Amityville and Huntington all the way out to Bridgehampton and Southold. We have 1,675 children in the program, and we have 1,000 children on a waiting list to get into the program. It's incredible because what we're trying to do is we're trying to work with the children and ready them to be able to succeed in kindergarten while we're helping the parents move towards self-sufficiency. So we do this in each of our centers with a multitude of staff and community support and outreach, okay, and everything that comes in and gives us all the support we need in order to help those babies, I guess, develop a love of learning, okay? I think that's really, really important at this early age. If you develop a love of learning when you're 3 and 4 years of age, that carries over, okay, and everything, and we know our kids will succeed. Once a Head Start child, always a Head Start child. They come back year after year and they read to the children. They want to participate in the program. The parents, you could be, 5 years out of the program, and if you're struggling and you have an issue, you come back and we'll help you find the resources in the community to help you.
Now, I actually have somebody who works in my office who is a Head Start kid. I don't know if you knew that.
No, who?
No, Christina.
Really?
And she's a big fan of the program. Now, but I know that the program often faces funding challenges. How have you fared recently? Have you been able to get the right funding levels through the county and other governmental agencies?
It's extremely difficult. We have a grant that comes from the federal government, and we have to match that grant by 20% in kind. And because of the economy right now, people are not really participating as much as they did before, as far as donations go, as far as volunteering goes. So we need to beef that up in order to continue to get the grant. And it's very difficult. You've helped us out with busing, okay, and everything. We used to have busing for all the centers, and at this point we don't. We can't take the money from our budget and put it to busing when we really need to educate the children, and the money needs to go into the program. So, we're struggling, and we hope that there are people out there that understand that early education is really, really important to our society.
Do you have some of those statistics? Because I know that there are some really strong numbers I've heard about kids who don't have that background going into, let's say, kindergarten, and some of the reading and the writing, and the rates of failure for those kids or not graduating versus those kids who actually have that background. Do you have any of those
Well,
statistics?
I don't have those statistics, but what I can tell you is for every dollar that's invested in Head Start, there's a $7 return on your investment. If our children, and all our children are living at poverty level or below, so that means that a family at $20,000 for a family of 4, that's all that they have to support that family. And a lot of our families are living at $5,000, $6,000 for the year. So you take a child that doesn't have enough food, that doesn't have a place that's safe to live, that doesn't have heat, that just doesn't have books in their home, and you're expecting them to go into the public school system, okay, and be on par with that children. Unless they have a Head Start beginning, that's just
How
not.
could they possibly catch up? They can't, and then they'll go through feeling like they're a failure, and it will plague them their whole lives.
Right, well,
Always never catching up,
Right,
and
well, we
never
talked
getting that
about-
equal opportunity.
Yeah, the children that Bonnie was working with, and you felt that they didn't feel that they had, Michelle, that they can, that they didn't have the power to do something. That's really, really important, and we want our kids and our family. Some of our parents only have a 2nd or 3rd grade education level, so we're helping them to be the best advocates for their children when they go into school. They know that they can come into the center 24/7. It's an open door policy. They're there all the time. We want them to know they could go into the public school system and they have a voice to advocate on
Right.
behalf of these children, because so many of these children just are left behind.
Now, you have recently changed your location, right? In terms of the Bridgehampton location, you were at Michelle's Center, and now you are...
They're still there.
Oh, you still there, too?
Yes.
Yes, they're still there.
Now, you've opened additional offices?
We have now a center at the Children's Museum
Oh,
at
so
the East End.
you've expanded.
Yes.
Okay.
There's a tremendous need for Head Start on the East End, and I'm not exactly sure of the numbers for the waiting list, but we could probably open up another few centers out here
Wow.
and fill them.
So you have new offices at the Children's Museum of the East End. So Steve, let's use that as a segue to you. You are the executive director of the Children's Museum of the East End, and tell us a little bit about the museum and how it serves kids, and maybe we'll get a little bit into the history and future too, but let's start with what the museum is and what it does.
Sure, we're located in Bridgehampton, and the museum's mission is to enrich the lives of children and families and strengthen the East End community by promoting learning through play. And when I was at a local community fair, I happened to be seated next to the acting director at that time of the Long Island Head Start Center in Bridgehampton, what we call Bridgehampton 1, at the center up the street from us on Bridgehampton Sag Harbor Turnpike. And I wanted to learn a little bit more about what Long Island Head Start was doing, and I was really surprised to discover that there was a 60-child waiting list here in the East End for these resources. And I said, well, what's holding you back? And I learned that it's classroom space. And I said, well, the Children's Museum, we call it CME. CME has classroom space. Why don't you come and maybe you can use our classroom space? So that's how the relationship developed. And that's really when I say the centerpiece of the museum's mission is to strengthen the community. It's really looking to the partners that we have that are providing social services for kids and say, what could we do to help you do what you do better? So if it's at the center, Michelle's kids coming and using the museum as part of their after-school programming, or if it's Jeff Friedman from the retreat visiting with me and touring the museum, and he said, well, hey, you have great classroom space here, but you also have resources for kids. We're looking to do a training program for our families, mothers who've been economically marginalized, affected by domestic violence. Could they receive job skills training while you provide programming for kids, for their kids, in the rest of the museum? So we serve 50,000 visitors a year, but really the heart of what we do is identifying how other organizations in the area, and I'm always, anytime I talk to local social service providers, I say, please come to the museum, let's talk about how our resources can help you meet your mission and really make the lives of local kids better.
Sure. Let's talk a little bit about how the museum got there, because it's still pretty young. And I remember, I think it was Jackie Leader was one of the founders, and a friend of mine, and had this vision of the Children's Museum, and they had to find land, right? I think Alan Alda was involved somehow, the actor.
Alan Alda's daughter Beatrice, is one of our, what we like to call our founding moms. The country has its founding fathers, and CME, we have 8 founding moms who all lived out here full time and were concerned about the play deficit. I think all of us can talk about how kids, especially young kids' lives are increasingly prescribed. And 25 years ago, did we ever talk about play dates, that we had to schedule a time for our children to play? Right. It's harder and harder for kids to play. And these 8 moms realized that we needed a resource out here in the East End that would encourage self-directed play, because we all know that if kids don't have the chance to play, it affects their learning aptitude, it affects their cognitive development, their physical development, what we call executive function, their ability to negotiate. And so these 8 moms got together around a kitchen table and dreamed up this idea of a children's museum.
But they had to go beyond the dream to actually make it happen. So would they have to fundraise, privately fundraise?
Privately, they did fundraising. You were always supportive back when you were East Hampton town supervisor, and then with the county on the state level, lots of private dollars. And almost sort of the hubris to think that you could create this 8,000.
I wish I brought a picture with me of the building. It's a beautiful,
Yes,
modern building.
8,000 square feet facility, and it has exhibits that recreate the landscapes and the landmarks of the East End. So kids can pretend to be working at a farm stand, or they can be driving a fire truck, or they can be navigating a ship or fishing, and really not only learning about the East End, but how to
Sure.
partner with other kids and play together and
Now, I didn't bring a picture of the building, but I do have some pictures of inside the facility and the exhibits.
Yep.
And if we could take a look at, I try to get these up onto the monitor. So everybody's familiar with your sign. I don't know who designed it, but it's a really clever logo. I love it. It shows the excitement and the play. And let's take a look at this first picture. And this is inside the museum of some kids. I think this is in the entryway.
in the entryway there.
And they're greeted by a giant rabbit, right?
He's our mascot, Henry the Rabbit. Lives at the museum full time. He's our #1 attraction. Have some families that just come to say hello to Henry because they don't have time to play in the museum, but just want to go pay a visit to their neighbor. And he hops around through the entire museum during the course of the day.
Great. It adds an element of magic, I think, somehow. Now, this is, where is this tractor? This is in
This
the
is
museum.
also right at the entrance. Dean Foster has loaned a tractor that he built himself to us, and we very generously loaned it. We get so many kids who, if they don't spend time with Henry, they are immediately drawn to the tractor.
Now, this is inside, and this is you guys have a playground.
Indoor
Inside.
playground, especially on a winter day when the temperature is 20 degrees outside. We get so many kids and parents that come, and really the genesis of having an indoor playground was that
Right.
parents said, of all the great exhibits that the museum has, one of the needs that they felt was not being met was the opportunity for their kids to get active and physically active.
Now, this is an area you're thinking of expanding on, right? Because
We're-
we've had this conversation when I was there, and how's that going? Are you-
It is going really well. We actually are working with an exhibit designer to revamp a lot of the museum, and including adding a lot more opportunities for physical activity, not only for the younger kids that we serve, but also the 7, 8, 9, and even 10 and 11-year-olds.
Now, let's go back to the photos. We've got, it looks like a girl here making, what is it, soda? A soda
We're
fountain?
working in the ice cream parlor, the diner we also call it, as part of a school program that we do. This is the centerpiece of it, and the program is called Producers and Consumers.
Now, that ice cream's not going to melt on her, right? These are all
It's
props,
all,
right?
all play.
Right.
So
It's fun.
And
It's make-believe. This is fun. Whenever I go there, I like to play with this. So I
we got a lot of parents.
don't get rid of this, because this is, to me, it's very sciencey and creative and mechanical, and you get to create your own gears and watch a ball move.
And we're actually expanding the science programming that we're doing. One of the things that we've been learning from a lot of the teachers and parents that we work with is that there's less and less time to teach science during the course of the school day.
Sure.
And so if organizations like the Children's Museum and certainly Head Start and the Center can offer science programming outside of the hours that
Sure.
children are
Well, I love
at
that.
school.
Anything that's hands-on. This is getting back to, I guess you have like a general store there?
We have a general store, and we have our farm stand where kids are learning financial literacy, they're learning
Right.
numeracy,
Learning about agriculture,
they're
too.
learning agriculture, and just how the East End has such a long history.
Right.
Of
You really
being an
celebrate
important-
the, those agricultural roots of the community, the fishing, all those little aspects of what makes us a great community. I guess we're back to science on this picture. This is
a Bernoulli box.
I was going to say, Bernoulli's principle, right?
And the air coming out of a tube and how it elevates the balls. Some of those balls that have the holes in them, kids can learn how if they spin the ball with the hole, the ball will continue to rotate.
Oh,
I
okay.
can't tell you, I can't remember what the scientific principle is, but so when kids are getting actually into school and learning about that in school, they've had that experience already almost from the
Sounds
time
like
that they can remember.
An object in motion tends to stay in motion.
Exactly.
So I love the sense of wonder on this kid's face. Now this is a part of a ship you have there, right?
And also fishing, so
Right
kids
down-
can learn
right.
about the local fish that are indigenous to the waters around
Right, they
the
can
East
go
End.
fishing there with magnets,
Yep.
and then they whatever they pull up, they can see what type of fish it is. and-
Yep. Though they have to, it's all catch and release. They can't keep any of the fish.
No, and they don't get bit either by the bluefish. Let's see what else we have in here. Oh, we have, of course, a lighthouse, right? So the museum wouldn't be complete without the
Yeah.
lighthouse, which is really the kind of the symbol for our area, well, along with the windmill too, but which you also have a windmill. But similar to the Montauk Lighthouse, not the only lighthouse in our region, but certainly celebrates our maritime culture. And I guess they can't go up to the top, can they?
Not in this one, but as we're revamping the museum, thinking about making much more use of the vertical space. We
Okay.
have the roof is about 35 feet high, and for those kids that are excited about exploring the height, we want to be able to provide that space to them.
And of course, another great component of our community is our volunteer fire and ambulance corps. And you've got a fire truck, which what kid doesn't love
Fire truck.
right fire trucks?
And we have our firefighter uniforms as well, and during one of our school programs, kids learn about fire safety, which is so important.
Actually, I actually have a picture of the kids putting on their fire gear. This is great. You can see how happy they are. That's fun. So they get to do dress up.
It's so important that kids have the opportunity to do imaginative and pretend play.
Here's that kid on that tractor again. That's great. Now, I think the next slide switches over. So let's talk a little bit about, Head Start. And we got a couple pictures from the Head Start program. And this first one, Carol, do you want to describe what this is?
Sure, that's actually students from Shoreham Wading River High School coming into the Southampton Head Start program to volunteer. And we do have children, high school students across Suffolk County that, whether it be for community work or they just want to be involved with early education, they come in and they volunteer their time, and it's just a wonderful experience. Our children are learning from them, and they're learning from our children.
And this next photo is of a child reading a book. And
This is a former Head Start children. Once, like I think I said before, once a Head Start child, always a Head Start child. And they come back year after year to come because they had such a great learning experience at Head Start that they want to come back and share what they've learned. So she, I believe, is probably in second or third grade, and she's coming back and she's reading to our
great.
babies.
Oh, that's great.
And fathers are so very important to our children. Every day is Father's Day at Head Start, and we encourage, whether it's a father, an uncle, a grandfather, to come into the program and to just participate in whatever way they can. 10 minutes, an hour, 5 hours, it doesn't make a difference. And we were doing books that day, and one of the dads came in with his children to pick out a book for the child to go home with.
Oh, that's great. You have parents come and read.
Yeah, parents,
Right.
parents are the backbone of the program, okay? Parents... Actually, they're there to support the program. They hire they're on the boards to hire staff, to let go of staff. Everything that we do, parents are involved in.
That's so great.
They're involved with all our policies and procedures. And you know what? If our parents aren't involved at this early age and they feel confident that they could be there, they're not going to be involved in the PTAs as the kids get older
Sure.
into elementary school and into high school. And you know what? I don't care if you're in 10th grade or 12th grade. If you know that your parent cares about you and is vested in your education, you're going to try to do the best you possibly can.
And they probably learn a lot of parenting skills through the program too. So it's probably helpful to the parents
Right.
as well as to the children.
We have a tremendous amount of workshops. We survey the parents at the beginning of the year to find out what they need from us, and then we make sure that we provide those services by bringing in the community to help.
Now, what do you think are the big issues that are affecting kids today? What's on their minds? How do we better serve them and address some of their concerns?
I think you have to address the whole family. I think you have to address poverty, okay? You don't have to look outside of Suffolk County to find poverty. I think sometimes we look with blinders and people don't want to see what's going on in their backyards, but it's happening all over. And I think as a society, we have to figure out ways, okay? And if, Head Start started when Lyndon Baines Johnson declared a war on poverty, and it's the only social program that still exists out of that. But we probably need Head Start more today than we did back in the 60s.
We're not winning that war.
No.
We're not. And the county's population of homeless families has doubled. We're over 500 homeless families right now that we are housing as a county. And the cost of living here continues to rise. Wages aren't keeping pace. We're seeing more and more people slipping into poverty. And it's easy here. You lose a job or the job doesn't pay enough, and you still have cable and phone and rent and utilities and gasoline, and it quickly adds up. And unfortunately, to a recipe for poverty that people have a hard time getting their life back on track. I find. And, I think we have to do a better job on the fundamentals, so that we can grow, not just the upper class, but everybody can move up.
Everybody has to move up.
And it's hard, and whether it's at the local level where we just don't have the inventory of affordably priced housing opportunities for people, or the regional level where the economy just isn't growing at a fast enough pace to have the incomes increase to keep pace with the rising costs of living. These are real challenges that face the county, and I don't have any simple answers. I think they're hard, and we have seen it in young people. The people you're trying to help end up leaving the community. A lot of them end up going to other areas where they feel they have a better shot at it, at making it. We see it with the homelessness numbers, sometimes with the crime numbers, where people, resort to crime as a way to get through the day, to survive. So these are certainly challenging times. So I'm hoping that things are starting to get better, that we're turning a corner, but I think we all have to understand how challenging these times are for people. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, times are very challenging, and you're absolutely correct. It's just not about the child, but we also need to look at the entire family. If you want to help the child, you got to address the family issues.
Well, thank you for all your good work to help children, and thank you so much for coming on the show. Steve and Carol and Michelle, it's been a pleasure having you.
It's been a pleasure being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.